Hello and welcome to Tech Select. My name is Linus, and in today's video, we are continuing with our series on the electric pressure cooker. In particular, today I'll be showing how we're going to cook beans, Uganda's favorite. Hey, let's get cooking. Hello and welcome. So today we are cooking beans in our electric pressure cooker. It's actually a very simple process. There's nothing really complicated to it. So I'll be taking you step by step on how you can get to cook in this beautiful pressure cooker. Now, if you don't know what exactly we're talking about, you can check out the playlist on the electric pressure cooker that is, appearing in any of the cards right now. That will take you to the playlist on the electric pressure cooker, starting with what it is, what does it do, all these things, and also a couple of recipes that I'll be sharing on how you can cook stuff, fry stuff, even mingle stuff in this one particular cooker. Now, today we are cooking beans. Now, what I have here is a cup of beans. Give about, in Uganda, we measure things in cups. So some people measure them in grams, kilos, and stuff like that. But I have roughly a cup of beans, which should be almost 400 to 500 grams in weight. Why I'm cooking only about 500 grams is because I don't need that much. Today we're just cooking very little beans, but of course the procedure is the same whether you're cooking 1 full kilo or you're cooking a lot more. It's the same stuff. Now, first of all, you're going to get your beans and sort them. Make sure you've removed all the bad ones. It's the usual procedure. Once you've sorted your beans and all, it is done. Now we are going to just set this aside because now we know our beans are sorted and they're ready for cooking. Now we move over to our pressure cooker. In the pressure cooker, now what we're going to do is now we are just going to set it up right here. Step one is we are going to pour our beans into the cooker, and then we make sure we put in liquid. Now, one thing I must note is in here, in our pan over here is where we're going to be putting everything. Like I said in the video earlier, this hot area should not be tampered with. Nothing should be getting into this hot area. But in this particular case, we are dealing with the pan over here. So this is what we're going to be putting in. We're going to put our beans in here. And then also we are going to be, filling in some water. Now, you don't necessarily need to put a lot of water because, it's pressure cooking. The steam is not going anywhere. It's just going to keep boiling in. What we're going to do, get this pan, put it in our instant pot or electric pressure cooker right there. Get our beans, which we have sorted. I cannot emphasize enough. Sort your beans and also wash them. Now, these I have already sorted and they have been washed. So, they're a little bit damp because I've washed them. I've made sure everything is crisp and clear. Wash them about 3-4 times to remove all dust and residue and all these things just to make sure they are ready for cooking. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to dump these beans into our pressure cooker over here. Exactly as simple as that. And now we can officially, there's a bean over here. All right, so once we've done that, we are now ready to cook. Now what I can do is just bring this over to the center so to see what we're dealing with. Now, of course, as you can see, this here basically is the level of our beans. They're not really that much. They're just little enough for a small family or for one meal in this particular case. If you want more, you can always cook. I believe this pressure cooker here can cook for you. This is 6 liters, so I think it can even do more than a kilo. Actually, I think it can do almost 2 kilograms of beans, especially if you're putting not that much water, and they shall get really, really well. Now, step 2 is we're going to be putting in some water. Put in some water. Are we above the mark? Yes, we are above the mark. Now, why I'm putting in this much water is this is the same water I'm going to be using for soup. I don't want to add in extra water because this one is going to boil with the beans. It's going to have all that flavor and all that. So that's why we're keeping that there. Now that we have done that, this is as simple as that. We've put in our beans, we've put in our water. It's above the mark. We've verified this above the minimum mark. Now, as far as that is concerned, that is done. Step number 3, we're going to get our lid. Now, remember, I told you this lid in particular has this pressure sealing side. So this rubber here makes sure that your pressure does not escape, and it makes sure that everything you're cooking stays nice and boily and toasty. Now, the easiest way to know how it goes on here is there is a mark over here. You just look out for, in this particular case, for the saachi machine. You look for the lock and unlock keys and correspond that with this little pin that we talked about earlier. If you don't know what this pin here does, check out my previous video. So we're just going to put that in and lock. There we go. So as far as securing this is, it is locked. Now remember, never ever use this handle as something to carry your pressure cooker, because it can easily come off, it can easily untie itself, especially now that it's not pressurized. It can untie itself and then your machine will fall down and you'll make a loss. So do not use this as a lifter or a carry for this particular machine. Now here what we're going to do is just make sure we have sealed, and as you can see, we have sealed. This pin over here has gone down. Just make sure, see that pin over there, it is locked in position. This is not moving anywhere. Then we're going to make sure that that this stone over here, our weight stone, is not, if it's up or down, I think you can see that it goes up, it goes down. If it goes up is release. We don't want it in release mode, we want it down in locked mode. And now we get to cooking. So we've made sure everything is put in, the beans are in, the water is at the level, everything is sealed up and secured. We are sure and we are now ready to cook. Next thing is we're going to be plugging our machine to power. Now we have our socket, our plug over here, plugs at the back of the machine, and then now this goes into power. So once we are ready and set to cook, you'll notice we have these 3 dash lines basically showing you that the machine is on and is ready for instructions. Now in order to cook our meal, as you can see, definitely there's an option here. Like if you look through the options, we have soup, we have meat stew, we have saute, we have slow cook, we even have steam. And for vegetables, we have egg, cake, porridge, multigrain rice, and literally there is nothing here that says beans. But in this particular case, we want to cook our beans. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick, after experimenting with this machine, this is the best setting I found. I go to beef stew. Over there, beef stroke stew. Now that gives me 35 minutes on the clock, and it gives me in middle setting in terms of how much pressure. It gives me the middle, but I don't want middle, I want it at high. So what I do, I come to this option here that says setting. I click setting. Once I click setting, it starts flashing P2. P2 is basically these different programs, and then I go to the plus. Plus gives me P3. If you notice, it has moved over here. Let's just go back. That would be P2, and that would be P1, which is program 1, which would be low setting. Program 2, middle setting. Program 3, which is high setting. Now remember, everything is controlled through this setting. So just to recap, if I may cancel this, let's do this again. I come over to meat stew, and then I come over to setting, and then in setting we adjust our pressure level to P3, which gives me high. Then I come back to setting again. When I hit setting again, now it shows me the timer, and now I want to push this to 1.5 hours. So just have to click and hold the plus button. Of course, you can go tapping one by one, but just makes life harder. Just press and hold over there. Now that keeps counting because I'm setting it. I want it to go to 1.5 hours, which would be 1:30. Now, if you want, you can pressure cook for a little bit more. If you want them to be really soft, can go up to about 1:45. But in this particular case, for me, 1:30 is enough. 1 hour and 30 minutes. Now, once we are done setting, we have set our pressure level at high, and we've set our timer to 1.5 hours. We're just going to come and hit start. There we go. Now once we hit start, those dashes are going to start moving around in a circle, as you can see over there. That means it is pressurizing. At this point, you can just walk away, because what's going to happen is once this is done pressurizing, it's going to start boiling and water and creating enough pressure on the inside. Once the pressure is enough, your counter will start, the timer will come on. Once it has built up enough pressure, the counter will come on, and then to now start counting down your 1.5 hours. And of course, once it is done, it will make a beeping sound to let you know that it is done cooking. But at this point, you can just walk away from the machine and everything gets cooked. So once the pressure is done building up with that mode, rotating, it's going to start the countdown timer to your set time. In this particular case, we'll set for 1 hour and 30 minutes. So once it is done and the pressure has built up, this cover will not be able to open. It will be locked in place. So that will be showing you're ready to cook. And then once it's done building up the pressure, it's definitely going to now start cooking by itself. The countdown timer will start running. And then after that, it will be good to go. Now, let me let this here to do the cooking, and we'll be back. So it's been 1.5 hours of beans have been boiling in this pressure cooker, and of course our timer will keep counting down until it finally finished the countdown. And now all we have to do is, there's a lot of pressure that is in here. We're going to be moving on to the next step. Whoa, yeah, that actually looks good. That looks appetizing. So let's just put the lid over to the side. Now, of course, there are two options. You can just find where to put your lid, or if you're not working that much, there is this hole over here which you can use as your lid point. So you can just fix that there like that, so it will stand by itself. But that is you utilizing this little hole over here to make the lid stand. And then also now the excess moisture and water will go onto this side over here, which is just very perfect, which is just fine. All right, so we're going to check if our beans are ready in this particular case. Let's get us our mingling stick over here, or spatula, whatever you want to call it. And this here is the way we locally test our beans here to make sure they are ready. We do the press test. So as you can see, when we press them, they are actually ready. They crumble easily, they easily break, and they can, as you can see, that is just, they are soft. So we are actually good to go. Our beans are ready, and like the way they are puffed up, they look good. All right, so that has been a quick video on how you can boil your beans using your electric pressure cooker. I hope you've learned something, and in case of any questions, do leave me a comment in the comment section. How much power have I used? We used about, roughly we've used about 0.9 units, and of course we've got to factor in the fact that one, the house lights are on, my studio lights are on, so I believe it should be way less than 0.9 units, but that is what the beta has read, about 0.9 units. Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture for you to show you the before and after. I believe we shall do that on our next test on using your pressure cooker. And that is it right there. It is a wrap for this video. If you like this kind of content, do leave us a like, comment, and of course share the video on how share the video with your friends, family, relatives, so that they may get to know some of this information as it does really come to. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.